All right, everyone, welcome to week four. We are here in week four. This means you just completed what is that, the 20% mark of the course. So we made it through week three and there's 15 weeks. So we're really plugging along. So hopefully you enjoyed our little somewhat thorough tour around the solar system and the universe. And hopefully you have a pretty good understanding of how the solar system formed, all the different planets, the sun and other stars, other celestial bodies like asteroids and comets and moons. Um, should have a sense of the composition of the planets, the different classifications of the terrestrial and Jovian planets, the what defines meteors, meteorites, comets, and so forth, a decent understanding of what they're made of and how they all formed, and also, as you saw, the age of the solar system. Pretty much everything in the solar system is around 4.5 billion years. Really dug into the moon and the Highlands and the Maria and the really, I think some really fascinating things like solar eclipses and lunar eclipses and why the moon's always faces the same way toward the Earth. Famous, as they say in Italy, La Faccia Luna, the face of the moon, or the man in the moon, as we like to call it here. So, hopefully, you found it really interesting. I think this stuff is fascinating. I just really like understanding how this happens and all these really cool things like black holes and solar nebula and all that stuff. So, hopefully, you enjoyed it. But we're moving on now, kind of getting more, sorry for the pun, but down to earth. Okay, so we're really going to focus on Earth processes moving forward. So you have completed Unit 1. We're on to Unit 2, which, as you can see, is plate tectonics, earthquakes, and volcanoes. So this is some really cool stuff. You're probably going to sick of me saying that by the end of the semester. I think it's all really cool. But to me, this is just fascinating because it sort of really explains a lot of the stuff that you see around you, um, and sort of some of those, I guess, things that you probably have a good sense of and maybe haven't really dug into in any level of detail, like earthquakes and volcanoes and plate tectonics and how mountains form and how rivers form. So we're going to get into all of that. And this part is really on the terrestrial systems, mountain building and so forth. And so this week we are going to focus on plate tectonics. Uh, yeah, plate tectonics, excuse me, this week. Okay, so I'm gonna show you just this sort of chapter four. Of course, this is provided in D12, but you can see here, I'm not going to read all of these word for word, but you'll, by the time you're done with this lesson or this chapter, you'll have an understanding of what the prevailing belief in the geographic positions of the oceans and the continents. So, like, where did the oceans come from? Where did the continents come from? Are they stagnant or not? And then get into the more contemporary understanding, which is plate tectonics. And then you really dig into what is plate tectonics, what does it entail, what are the different components, um, what are these major plates, what is a plate, why do some plates uh, stay sort of above other plates. So you have these continental plates that we're all sitting on right now, unless you're somewhere on a boat in the middle of the ocean. So why is this effectively floating on an oceanic plate, which actually subducts underneath? So you'll get an understanding of all of that, and it really helps explain why the continents where they are, where they're actually headed. Everything is moving, albeit at a really slow rate. So it really helps explain all of that. And then you get in some really cool stuff, start understanding how, well, this is the foundation of understanding earthquakes and volcanoes in particular. So earthquakes and volcanoes really almost entirely boil down to plate tectonics. And so this will help you understand that part of this unit when you get to that. Um, and then, yeah, we'll get to some of the sort of scientific side of it, like what evidence did they find to help solidify this theory of plate tectonics. And it's pretty interesting. It's this really the big, huge puzzle that they sort of took for granted for hundreds of years, if not thousands of years. and then they just really slowly started to understand through applying scientific method and investigating. So you see some of those pieces of evidence, and I think it's all really interesting how they put all these pieces together. Again, no pun intended. Um, so that's this week, and as you can see, you do have a excuse me, sorry, you have a lab due at the end of the week, and then a homework also. Okay, so kind of our usual process. And then next week we move on to chapters 5 and 6, where we get more specifically into earthquakes and volcanoes, but that's another topic for another day. So that's a little bit of an overview of our first part of Unit 2. Um, So just make sure you keep doing your labs and homeworks and doing them on time. Overall, you've done a really good job at this, but I hate to see people lose points, but we do have a late policy. So just make sure you keep up with everything and try not to fall behind. If something's getting in the way, life, work, whatever, please just reach out. I'm a reasonable person. So if there is some valid reasons why you're falling behind, please let me know, and then we'll see what we can do. Okay? So don't be a stranger. Communicate if you need anything. But otherwise, enjoy the content. I hope you have a wonderful week, and just reach out if you need anything.